I remember I was at one of my lowest lows, and I was trying to make payroll. I was, all the things that you were trying to do to build the company, that's like they weren't working. And I'm just like, God, I am a good dude. Like, why is this not working? Like, what is going on? And I remember like I was laying on the carpet in my office, like the door was locked, and I'm just, everybody's going home, and and there was tears in my eyes, man. And I was just crying. And there was this sermon that I heard, and it talked about what you have left.
Ooh.
So many times we are just so focused on what's missing. So many times we're focused on the lack. So many times we're focused on like, man, this is the way that I want it to go, but it's not here. Like, what is happening? And that mindset of lack can just eat you up, makes you down, and makes you depressed. And the sermon said, what do you have left? And then I looked at what I had left, and I still, even though my bank accounts were low, I still had a wife that loved and adored me. I still had my children that I could, that love me, and they're healthy. And I still had a lot that a million men would stand in line to live my life one day, just for one day of what I had at that time, where I was on the floor crying my eyes out. And so for immediately that day, I just started to understand what I had left. And what I had left was a dream life for someone else. And so how dare I walk with a spirit of lack? And so that's what I decided. And hopefully I didn't lose you, but it looks like I
No,
lost.
no, you didn't. No, you didn't lose me at all, man. I'm captivated. And by the way, audience, this is the exact same like thing that I heard coming around that corner, and I'm like, I gotta, I gotta know this guy. And
Wow.
I think that this is the passion that I think that you bring for life that is just so contagious. And it's so interesting to me. A mutual friend of ours, Chad Johnson. I remember in a conversation, he said, it's so easy as entrepreneurs for us to want more, right? I mean, we just are born with that more muscle,
Yeah.
right? And and oftentimes that is actually the biggest headwind that we have to actually
Mm.
get what we want, because it's like we get so focused on the more. But he said something, he goes, like, we are living a dream that someone would die for. And just to your point, I'm really curious, Chris, when you made that shift, did your success follow that shift?
It did, but it wasn't immediate, right? It was, I'm blessed to say, like, I'm really, really talented, and I'm really, really determined, and I'm perseverant. And prior to that time, I didn't know what was me versus what was God until it was all stripped away.
Oh, come on, man.
Okay. And then I surrendered of like, you can work so hard. So, I mean, I was putting in 80, 90 hours a week, and you can work so hard, but God controls the increase. Do you hear what I'm saying? And so one drop of favor, man. And so, yes, like it was that I started to surrender and like be obedient, man, and control what I can control,
Mm.
and have faith that I don't have to micromanage God. He got this. The controller of all, he can handle all this. And when that started to happen, like it started to happen. And I started to enjoy the journey. I started having joy in the journey, not just in the championship that I was going after. And so and then that started to happen. Like I started to get rewarded because, God can bless my faith. But when I'm ungrateful, and I'm in tears, and I'm doubtful, and I'm double-minded, then what I saw is that when it was all me, I was not winning. I did not have the joy. I did not have the fulfillment. And so to answer your question, Ben, as I started to do that, man, the blessings follow. Now you still have trials and tribulations. Like, it's like, man, Lord, I made it to this mountain. This promised land has been amazing. Like, and then you go through another wilderness. And like we learned
Yes.
in strategic coach, and Dan says this, like, this is the courage part of the journey. And so it's
Yes.
like, and courage does not feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Courage is not comfortable. But I've embraced it. And so, I'm stronger because I have gone through those things that led me to that as well.
Yeah. I love that you said that. It's I think that the precursor right before growth is discomfort. And some of the audience will know my story, but I don't say about 13 months ago, my son was born, and 16 days later, he passed away. And I realized that bittersweet is a God term,
Mm,
because it really emphasizes this idea that Newton's law is real. It's equal and opposite reactions. And the reality is that the sorrow that I still feel to like today is only a representation of actually the love and like the abundance that I feel. And the fact is that how lucky am I that I get to feel this sorrow because I loved him like so much. And so what I think it's so interesting as you're talking about is that what's the saying? And I'm bad with adages, but it's like, like growth is optional, suffering, or growth is inevitable. Growth, suffering is optional. And
mhm.
I think understanding that in terms of like, you don't get one without the other. There is no night without day, right? You don't get the variance between. And I think that it's so, I think it's just so astute as you're talking about that there's this courage aspect of it. And courage is that precursor, that discomfort before we really, I think what's in our future is finally unveiled. And it's often the courage is actually the sediment that we're excavating to get out of our own way.
100%. 100%. I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. And, like, what I realize is that a lot of people, uh, understanding that adversity is the prerequisite for major breakthroughs and success. But
Yes.
I realize that some people were just like me, and I'm not perfect in this yet, but some people suffer twice.
Yeah. Say more. Say more
They
about that.
they suffer twice. So they suffer with the anxiety of what hasn't happened yet. It's the negative outcome of what you're hoping for.
Yes.
And so you suffer now, like you really feel what that feels like of this not coming to pass. So you suffer then.
Yes.
And then because you had the doubt, you suffer when it doesn't happen.
Hmm.
And so what I realized, like, building a business and building a business, man, it is such a mental game and a spiritual journey
Yes.
that you have to be equipped every single day. And so,
Yes.
like, I am so intentional, Ben, that I know that the afflictions and the challenges are going to come at me every single day. And I don't want to suffer twice. So I'm
Yes.
like super intentional every single morning. Like, I have this morning where I call it, I seek him first. And this is where
Mm.
I seek God first. And so I'm on my treadmill and I'm seeking him first. I'm like, I'm, I'm, I'm in my blessing list. I'm looking at adversity. I'm taking inventory of the adversity that has blessed me. Who has done that? Who has looked at the adversity that you thought was adversity and that there
Come
was
on.
blessings that came from it, right? I take inventory of my expectations. Like, what are good things that are happening that I'm excited? Like, expectation is a superpower. It's
Yes.
the anticipation of something good happening, right? It's
Yes.
the opposite of anxiety. So
Yes.
and then I write in my blessing list of like, Lord, thank you so much for these things. Like, I'm writing in my blessing list. So I'm doing that in the morning, Ben.
Yeah.
My mindset is so high that when the affliction, when the sight comes, it's too high for the sight and the afflictions to touch it.
Ooh, ooh. It's
So
like
many, yes,
you've already won the day. Like you've already won.
I've won the day, man. And so like now, like when the sight comes, I can dismiss the sight because it's light. If I roll out of the bed and I don't seek him first and I just, boom, I'm right into my emails, I'm right into my day, you're in the neutral. And
Ooh.
so, boom, this email from your CFO that provided you some bad news. Boom, you get this thing from an employee that said that they're resigning. Boom, you get this from a client, one of your best clients saying that, hey, they got to, like now you are boom into depression.
Yes.
And so, like, your perspective is off, and you didn't even get a chance to fortify your mind. You didn't get a chance to enjoy your blessings and have that mindset. And so now your whole day is gone.
Yes.
And so now, how do you even muster the faith to even go back? And so now you got to end that day, and then you're hopeful that joy cometh in the morning. So, how many times do we go into this cycle, man?
Yeah.
And so,
I
here's what I realized, Ben, is like all of us, everybody on this journey, man, like we have enough blessings in our life that people would stand in line to live it for one day. And at the same time, right now, I got enough in my life that if I were to jump off a bridge, you would say, oh, I get it. That makes sense.
Yes.
So it's a choice of our perspective if we're going to really be consumed by our blessings or are we going to be consumed by the burdens? And you know what you're doing most of by how you feel emotionally. If you are feeling down, you're focusing on those burdens. You're focusing on the lack. If you feel grateful and you feel blessed, you're focusing on the blessings in your life. And so I'm really trying to be intentional of focusing on those blessings because the emails that all the sight is coming today and tomorrow. And so that's how I fortify my mind to be ready for that.
I just got to say, you have blessed anyone who's listening to this immensely. So I want to say thank you. That was incredible. One of the things that I love that you have articulated incredibly is this idea of agency. Like, we all have so much agency in terms of, I think of things in terms of like sunrises and sunsets, right? And what happens in the middle of the day is, is it sunny? Is it a bluebird day? Is it cloudy? Is it stormy? Is it raining? Right? Is it a blizzard? Is it a massive heat wave? Are all these things that you call emotions? And the reason why I use like sunrises is that I think sunrises represent so much possibility. And what I love is that you create such an impenetrable sunrise that you have these bluebird days, and occasionally, yep, you got maybe a mid-afternoon, rain shower, but that just dissipates. And I just think that that's so beautiful. Um, Chris, when you think about someone who's listening to this, who maybe goes, I want that. Like, I want what you are talking about. What are some things that you would tell them to be able to go, hey, it's free. Here's the first 1% incremental step that you can do. I mean, maybe it's the 1, 2, or 3 steps that they could do literally tomorrow morning.
Absolutely, man. I think that's so good. I would say that the first step is number one is a relationship with our Lord and Savior. That's number one. This is too hard. I don't know how I would do this without him. That's number one. Number two is before you check that email, when you wake up in the morning, before you check that email, before you check the text message, before you check the social media, that is time for you to go ahead and just get your mindset filled with the good things that are happening in your life. And so what I would say, the first thing is, so make sure you shut those things off. The next thing is write your blessings. Just in your notes file, go one. And then, hey man, I am just so grateful for my wife, man. The way that she expressed her appreciation for me really just impacted me. Man, I am so grateful that we just won that deal last week. It's going to provide some sustainable revenue. I'm so like you write those down. So boom, write them down until you're done with them all as far as in that day. The next thing is write down the things to take inventory of what's working, of like what you, as far as your expectation. So that's where like, and I'm so excited. I'm happy and I'm excited that this is going to happen when right. It's like the
Yep. Yep.
expectation hasn't happened yet, but you're hopeful in your expectation. Write down that as far as that expectation. I would say doing those things are the first start of like, man, it transforms like your day, and then boom, go ahead and hit the rest of the day.
How have you found that has transformed, right? You transformed yourself, right? Sort of like on a plane, put your oxygen mask first before you help others. But obviously, in terms of it's great, we can talk about in terms of you getting into like a really great place that expectations, right? And expectations from a place of joy, not in terms of shoulds. But how has that transformed the people around you, whether it's like your
Oh,
wife, your kids, the people that are on like your inner circle of your team, and how have you found that has transpired, and how have you had to advise or share with other people so that you can get them on that same frequency?
it's massive. Um, it's massive because if you don't do these things in the morning, you're easily moved. You're easily moved by the negative things that happen, because they are going to happen. It's just how we perceive them and how we react to them. And so I can tell, like, when I haven't done that in that day, I'm easily moved. I'm irritable. I'm weary. And so you can't show up the best for your family and for your team. You're quick to be annoyed. You're irritable. Like, at
Hmm.
least for me, I am. And so I really like when I'm at my best self, like I'm really intentional that I want someone that enters my presence to leave better than how they came into my presence.
Mm.
Like if you could think about that, like, when people come meet with you, do they leave better than when they came in? And so like I really want to be able to be that for people around me.
Hmm.
I want them to be blessed. And there's times where I miss, like where I'm with one of my team members and I'm like, we already talked about that. Like, I need you to fix that. Like, and I can tell like I was a little too harsh.
Yes.
There was a way that I could have said that, which made them leave better. And so that is just where I could see that once my mind is right, once my spirit is right, once I'm in a blessed and grateful state, I can show up better for my team and my family.
It's so interesting. You were talking about, man, I feel so solid, and I had this imagery. Obviously, social media is something that we all experience in our life, and um, I remember Jenna, who's is my wife and my life partner and business partner across the 5 different companies and our charity. Um, and she showed this clip from Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO, and he had someone that was talking about telling the truth. And I don't know how that's the context, right? This person knows and is like a leading expert in when people are being honest or not.
Mm, mm,
And she specifically had Stephen say a lie, but she had him hold his arm straight out.
mm,
And then she reached across and she like pushed down in his arm, and his arm went like right to the ground. And then she said, "I want you to tell me a truth, and I want you to like still hold your arm out." And she went back, and after he said the truth, did the exact same force. You know what ended up happening? His hand
mm,
stayed exactly where it was. And they said
mm,
what ends up happening when you are not like telling the truth is that you are weak. You are weaker. And
Mm,
so it's super interesting to me. And you're talking about, man, like, getting clear about expectations and blessings in terms of, and getting your feet right and getting your position right, with like your relationships. It's almost, I envision this idea of that you are creating, that you are living your truth. And
mhm.
therefore, when a slight pressure, you're not going to crumble, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not living the lie of who you think you maybe should be, who others think you should be. I'm just
Mm.
curious, like, I mean, how's that hit you?
I think it hits me so strongly. Like integrity is like super important to me. And I could see that like even in my YPO session, we did a icebreaker where you have to tell two truths and a lie. And I'm like, why is this exercise so hard for me?
Oh,
Right. And it was so I think yeah, I totally identify with that. And yeah, and I think that's partly why it's so important to make sure that we can show up in the right way.
yeah, I love it. Well, Chris, tell me a little bit about who's the man behind the mask. I think that people have seen you, right? I mean, we all wear these different identities, right? In terms of a lot of, I think people who maybe know you in this entrepreneurial space, right, know the things that like you you do like professionally, right? But like, what are the things that in terms of that you think that people would be surprised to know about you when you think about who Chris is behind the mask that everyone gets to see?
You know what? I think this goes back to what you said at the outset,
Hmm.
that what you were attracted to is I didn't realize how unique it is. There is no mask with me. And so like I'm the same exact dude when I'm with my pastor. I'm the same exact dude when I'm with my wife. I'm the same exact dude when I'm with my boys. I'm the same exact dude when I'm in a executive meeting. I'm the same exact guy that when I'm coaching my kids for basketball. Like I I am just uniquely like that in every single scenario, whether it's coach, whether it's this. So I'm always me. I'll say that what some people may not know about me is, man, I'm fiercely tenacious and perseverant. Like I don't have a give up gene. Um so I think that's like one thing I like I it just it there's I'm relentless. Absolutely relentless. Like I will not quit. I will, and that's has always been like that in my life. Um I think another thing is sometimes what I realize is that this can also be a flaw. Matter of fact, it is a flaw in business. Is that sometimes I don't see my own gifts, and I have this expectation in others to be able to rise to that same occasion.
Hmm.
And my wife
Hmm.
says it, other people say it, like they're not you, like you're an alien. But I don't receive that. But I'm starting to get it. But what happens is I I'm addicted to potential.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's a dangerous thing as a founder and a CEO, that I have had faults where I not only just wanted to win, but I wanted to win with this person because I could see the potential in them. And if you put it in if I were to present this to any CEOs in any group, they'd be like, "Dude, what are you doing? That's not a. They're done. Go ahead and make
Yes.
the decision." And so I would say that's another thing about me that someone wouldn't know that I'm addicted to potential in others.
Yeah,
Uh,
how do you define potential? Like, what does that mean to you, right? Because some people will be like, man, I know that if I collaborate with them, they're gonna like 2x, underlying cash flow. Other people might be like, man, there's potential in them that they don't even know yet. I mean, how do you define it?
you know what? The way that I define it is that you have let's use it as a team member. Let's say someone is a director of sales, and you see that they have the work ethic. You see that they have the communication skills, right? You see that they care, right? Uh, but what you see is that they don't know how to actually get things done.
Yes.
They don't know how to execute, like so output,
Yep.
right? Like not just working on stuff, tangible output. And
Yes.
so what you're looking at is like, yo, he has all of these things. If I can show him how to execute, show him or her how to execute, how to actually drive output. Oh my gosh, I have a monster here in this team member. That's what I mean by potential. Is
Yes.
that they might have some attributes, but you see some unlocks in them that you can be able to, man, if I could help refine this, if I can give them the education on this, man, here's a major thing here's a major person that will have incredible success.
What are the things that get in the way of that potential? I mean, is it will, skill, confidence?
Yeah, I think it could be all of those. And I think it's also habits. You know, some people can't see themselves, right?
Ooh,
Um, some people are not self-aware, and then some that are, they don't take they don't take the steps to execute,
yep.
you know. And I think, like, I always say, like, I don't want to have a learning experience to be a good book. Do you feel what I'm saying? It was a
Yeah, I
good
do.
book, and then you put it back on the shelf. No, 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 no. Like, I want that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Ooh, ooh,
Okay. Knowledge means I just actually put the information into my mind. I know the information.
yes.
Wisdom is that knowledge applied. So it's not just in my mind, it's in my life. Right. And so I
Yes.
think that is the biggest difference, is between knowledge and wisdom. And so a lot of people only take it to knowledge and they don't take it to wisdom. And that's how they miss out on that potential.
Well, it's clear that you've obviously had some success in unlocking potential. When you think about your businesses, businesses you have had that you've sold. Um, what would you tell someone who goes, man, I like this idea of unlocking, what I'm hearing you say is unlocking the wisdom so that they can actually execute and create value and therefore starting to find purpose, right? Finding in terms of excellence. What would you tell someone who is listening to this, what you have found are like the keys to like helping someone? Because, I think we all as entrepreneurs go, yep, we got someone on our team. By your definition, absolute potential, but just can't seem to unlock it. How have you found like the
Well,
best steps to do that?
I found that the best steps is, number one, creating a safe place of transparency, like as a coach,
Mm,
right? And so the way that I do it is that you want to make sure that the person that you're coaching doesn't feel attacked.
mm,
So there's a difference when you're talking to them versus when you're watching game tape.
hmm.
So the way that do you feel what I'm saying? You
I do.
remember, like,
I
if you
do.
play sports, when we go watch game film, we don't feel attacked. You're like, oh, You're right. I ran into that double team. I should have kept my head up. There was an outlet right there. Got it. Okay. Right. And so you can see
Yes.
that. So I do the same thing with my team. And when I'm trying to unlock that potential, I
Yes.
start with creating a space of just a space of just transparency that I want them to win. Like they need to know that I want them to win no matter what. And so I started off with that with that start of it. Then I start out what they're doing well. Like, man, you rushed it when you did this. Man, it was so
Yes.
amazing that you did this. And then I transition that to the game tape. So here's one of the things I want to do. Like I want to talk about how we handle this, be able to see this, and I want you to see it and kind of you give me what you see there as far as that. And so we're watching the game tape, and it's like, oh, I didn't see that. I didn't realize I do that, right?
Yeah.
And so we watch the game tape, they get it, and then the key thing is don't overwhelm them with lessons. Take out
Yes.
two most potent
Ooh.
lessons. Because what happens if you give them all 12, they walk away with nothing but a good
Mm.
book.
Mm.
Right? If you distill that game tape into the two most important things, then they walk away with those two most important things, and then you set the feedback loop of feedback on those two important things.
Yes.
And then that's how they grow. And now those two important things go from knowledge to apply to wisdom. And
Oh,
so, and then they feel amazing. Oh my gosh, did you see how I did this thing and this thing? And then you watch
yes.
game tape again, and then you pull out two more.
Mm.
And then they love this process of evolving in the whole nine. And so that's one of the ways that I do it, of being able to help my team.
That's brilliant. I don't think I've ever heard it quite articulated that way, and it totally resonates with me, having been an athlete in high school and
Yeah,
college. And
absolutely.
I think one of the things that's super interesting to me when I listen to you, it's not a surprise to me of why you're building a 9-figure technology company that happens to help people find great talent, right? Because you
Yeah.
have clarity of how do you actually get good talent, how do you like attract good talent, and how do you actually keep really good talent. But I think a lot of times people, that's the Chris they get to see today. But when you and I were in Nashville, where I got a chance to meet your amazing wife, which like for the majority of us, like you outkicked your coverage.
No question.
Um, and I had asked the question, um, have you always known that you were going to be an entrepreneur? And I would love if you shared that story, because I found it so interesting. Because I think sometimes people think like, hey, to be an entrepreneur, to like do great things, like you got to be born in the right spot. You got to do the right job coming out of like high school. You got to be doing all these different things. I loved your story about um, how you became an entrepreneur, and maybe when you had that aha. I'd love if you shared with our audience.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm so blessed. My wife Shauna, man, we've been together since I was 14 years old. Um, she is she's my everything, man, and I'm so grateful that that I have her, and she has been my rock in all of the promised land, the wilderness. Like she's been there from the start. But as far as my entrepreneur journey, the way that it started, my dad, I was a big time basketball player, and this is before trainers. I would train myself every single day, like from as soon as I got home from school till night. And I just loved. I was going to the NBA, like I was absolute at that age, absolute, and
Yes.
there was no doubt in my mind. And my dad said to me, he said, "Chris," he said, "you're going to the league." But once you retire from the league, you'll probably be about 38. So what I want you to do is have two dreams. And I'm like, huh? So I don't know what my second dream is. And it was watching the movie Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy, he was a businessman. He had a corner office, and he had
Yes.
Holly Berry. And I'm like, you know what? I want to become a businessman. So, but I never knew how I would do it. my 16th birthday party. I being an athlete, I was a popular kid. I passed out flyers to come to my birthday party, and there was a ton of people. And my dad said you can only use the garage. And so after the garage got, almost filled, something dawned on me of like, man, okay, I still got all these people in the cul-de-sac lined up to get in. And I said, hey guys, it now costs $5 to get in the party. So if you have $5, please come to the front and hold your $5 out. And so they came and they gave me the $5 bills, and I'm collecting the $5 bills. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this was the first time I experienced something as high as the love that I had for basketball. And I'm like, okay, this is what business feels like. And so, so that was my start. So then from there, I said, okay, I want to do this again. I saw that in high school, we only had the senior balls and junior proms. And then I said, so I was the first in Sacramento to create teen dance club. So I was only 16 years old. I rented out Dante's club. I went to each popular high school. I gave free for the athletes there. And my first event, I made 400. It was 400 people that showed up, $10 a head. I made about $4,000. Paid the DJ, the security, and I walked home with $2,100 profit. Then I said, okay, man, okay, I love this. So by the time I was 18, I had one in two different locations, one in Stockton, one in Oak Grove. And then from there, my buddy came home. He said, dude, I'm a model. I said, how does the modeling? I went to Google how modeling agencies work, and I created a modeling agency at 19 years old. And so these are some of the things that people don't know. So I had 50 talents. The movie Training Day with Denzel Washington, I put two people in that movie as extras while I was 19, 20 years old.
Come on.
So I had a basketball camp. I had a basketball company. Yeah. So I love entrepreneurship, man. So that was the early years that, all the way led to where I'm at today. The Shark Tank, building the consumer products company, selling that. So yes, I love entrepreneurship, and that's some of my early years.
But I'm really curious. Well, number one, that's incredible. That story never gets old. I love hearing it. My favorite part of this whole story, to fill in, is that Shauna, his amazing partner, is there, and what I hear is that she saw it long before you did. She saw the potential in you long before and was like, if you don't do this, I think aspect, which I think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So let me tell you about that. I know exactly what part of this you're talking about. So I worked for before starting my own talent acquisition firm, I worked for one of the biggest recruiting companies in the world. And I was number one producer out of over 3,000 employees. Okay. I was number one.
Wow.
And the owner of the Baltimore Ravens owned that company. And so we had this thing called contest where they flew all the top performers out to the Bahamas. At that time, I was only about 25 years old. And I just had unrest. Here we are in the Bahamas. I don't really drink, and I had unrest. And I was like, man, I want to start my own company. And to kind of give you some context, my base salary was only $32,000. But as a 25-year-old, with the commissions and the success I had, I made just shy of 200 grand.
Ooh.
And we just had our second kid. So I got two baby boys at home. And my wife's like, what's the matter? And I'm like, I want to start my own company, but man, like I'm making a lot of money here. If I already built it, it's just going to come in to be able to take care of you and the boys. And my wife said to me, she said, Chris, since we were kids, you always told me that you wanted to be a millionaire, not a 200,000-aire.
I love that so much.
And from there, man, I said, I'm doing it. And man, it was on from there. And I have still received her support every absolute step of the way. But yes, she has just been instrumental in my life, man.
Have you always viewed yourself though as an entrepreneur? Because I've just come to recent clarity that there's like really three levels of self-employment. There's an operator who just basically creates a business that's basically a job. That there's a business owner who goes, you know what, I like operating, but I'd like to maybe manage other people. And then there's this another level of like an entrepreneur. And it took me until about 10 years ago where I thought I was like, I'm a business person. And I almost felt like an imposter syndrome saying, like, I'm an entrepreneur. And in part because I actually didn't maybe really realize what that was. At what point did you realize you were like, you know what? I've gone through this operator level now. I'm a business owner, right? Kind of managing, and now I'm about like creating value creation that is unlimited.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I've always had the mindset of an entrepreneur. Like I always had that. Like even young. I mean, as you can see, all the way from 16. And
Yes.
um, but I always admired the success around me. When you talk about imposter syndrome, I still feel that.
Come on. Amen.
Even to this day. Like, I mean, you know this, like in Free Zone, we are surrounded around bona fide killers
Yes.
that
Just for the audience, not incarcerated killers.
no
Yeah. Just
no
to be clear.
these are the nicest human beings in the world, the most giving group of entrepreneurs I've ever met, and led
Amen.
coached by and who is the just a gift to us that is just absolutely incredible. Like that room is so amazing. What I mean by killers, I'm talking about as far as killers, as far as success.
Yes.
These guys have built massive businesses. Some are just shy of $1 billion.
Yes.
You get in a room and some of these guys already have things that you have on your dream board. They've had them for the last 10 years. You know,
Yes.
things of like being able to fly their own jet and all that stuff. But
Yep.
the most humble will give you the shirt off of their back. Like I'm
Yes.
talking about incredible people. And so I always look at those of like, Lord, how did I get in this room? Right? Like I've been blessed. I've had a lot of success, but I'm always like grateful. What's great is that I never go into the mindset of comparison,
Ooh.
right? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh yeah.
I never look of like, man, he has this. I wish I had that. Like I'm so secure in my life that there's no trade. Like I'm not, I love my life. I'm blessed. I wouldn't want to trade my life for anyone's. But there's sometimes of like, man, do I have this right? Am I doing this right? When you talked about the level of value creation,
Yes.
when you see the value creation someone has, when you
Yes.
see the who, not a how power, superpower that this person has
Yes.
put in this organization. So Ben, I'll tell you that it's a constant learning and growth for me. I have not arrived, man. I have not arrived. And what I realized, some of the people in these rooms, whether it be strategic coach, YPO, what I realized is that as much of the imposter syndrome that we feel,
Yes.
they feel it as well. And I
Yes.
think that is just part of when you're a constant learner. When you're
Yes.
a constant learner and you have never arrived at a destination and you want to continue to be ambitious and go, you always have a level of uncertainty. You have some confidence, but you also have a level of uncertainty that keeps you courageous. So you
Yes.
always feel some of this imposter syndrome. So I can tell you that I still have that. And I try to make sure that I manifest it in a positive way.
I love that. You know, when I had joined Free Zone, I felt the very much the same thing as you. And I remember having a conversation with someone there, and they said, "Ben, you're not in the room because of what you have done. You're in the room because of what you're going to do." And I think that that is so true. And I think that at a level, no matter if you're just starting on the entrepreneurial journey or you've been there, Lee Brower, one of associate coaches and also friend, you and
Incredible.
I. Um, he has this quote that I think is so great. He says, "The enemy of thriving is arriving." And I
Mhm.
think that being in a room where, as you said, with these killers, these people who have like created immense amount of value, is that you get to see firsthand that you never want to arrive. And you and I had a conversation out maybe 6 months ago talking about like, hey, stop trying to be there, right? Dan had talked about stop trying to be there, be here, because when
Mhm.
you're here, you're expanding. And it
Mhm.
actually goes back to I think what you were talking about earlier in the pod, talking about like how you start your day. You bring yourself back to here, because when you're here, you're never worrying about being there because you just are existing, right? You're never trying to arrive because you're trying to be here where your feet are at.
Mhm.
And I just think that I think that is so beautiful. Chris, what
Absolutely.
would you tell someone who's maybe starting the journey or who's feeling some of these maybe imposter syndromes, that if you could go back and tell the younger version of yourself, I mean, even go back 2 years, right, before, 3 years before you started Free Zone, what would you go back and tell yourself that would allow you and help you shortcut to kind of where your feet are at now?
Oh man, that is such a great question. And I know exactly. And I think this is really going to impact and bless them. The first thing that I would tell you is that you are enough.
Ooh,
You are enough, man. You are so enough. And even though it doesn't seem like that, even though you don't see it, you are enough. And there's so many aspects of a fulfilled and wealthy life. So many times, like we only look at this triangle as far as wealth.
mm,
That's the biggest thing that people see as far as that. And so, like if you have this will of life and in the wealth, you're a two and you're in rooms or you see tens all around you.
yes.
But in your marriage, you're a 10. Those folks that are killing it in wealth that have a 10 might be a 2 or a 1 in their marriage and would give everything in this triangle to get your 10.
Ooh, that's so
And
good.
so, like, or your mindset and your peace. You might be a 10 mentally and spiritually, or a 9. And then there's someone else that might be a 9 or 10 in wealth, but they're struggling with substance abuse and
Yes.
they're still trying to get better in that area. So it's not holistic of what you see. You are enough. And so be grateful for the 9s and 10s in some of those areas of your life and just continue to work at those 2s and 3s in your wealth and all these other areas. Right. And so that's what I'll say. It's because what you need to understand, whatever number you have, it's temporary. It's
Mm,
not perpetual.
mm,
It's not perpetual. This is not where you stay. If you're a 2 and 3, that is not where you're at, is not where you're going.
yes.
Do you hear what I'm saying? I have to remind myself about that. Like I've been blessed, but my liquidity is not to the where I know where I can get it. So I might be at 2 or 3. I might be at 3 in my liquidity, right?
Yes.
Which is different from your net worth, right?
Yes. Yep.
To where like, that can be a distraction, man. So if I just focus on that 3 and I'm missing that, man, I'm a 10 with my children. Man, look at how far I've come I'm a 8 or 9 with my relationship with God. Man, look how far I come in my health. I've lost 36 pounds. Like, look how I've been in my fitness as far as that. Like, you can miss all those blessings, man, because you're like, dude, I'm tired of living check to check. I'm tired of not having this liquidity. And then you could take that discomfort, internalize that, and feel like you are not enough.
Yes.
And that is
Yeah.
not true, man. You are enough. So like rebuke the thought of insignificance. Rebuke the thought of uncertainty that you're not going to make it. Rebuke the thought of that, man. You are blessed. Like if you take count it all joy, take count for all the blessings in your life, I promise you, there's a million people that would stand in line just to experience that for one day. So that's what I would say to him, Ben.
Well, you definitely bless someone. And man, I love listening to what goes on in your brain and as you articulate it. It's pretty incredible. Well, you started talking about a little bit about wealth and health and wisdom. And one of the things that I always like that I want to bring in this podcast is actually bring some of those things up. And I want to start in your health. I mean, you said you're down 30 plus pounds?
36 pounds, man. 36
36
pounds.
pounds.
Yes.
Come on. How did you think about wealth before? I mean, because as entrepreneurs, right, oftentimes, we say yes to this, we're saying no to something else. And most often we see across the board saying yes to this pursuit and saying no to a pursuit that actually allows this pursuit to go on longer and better and faster, right? And that's in the health. Talk to us a little bit about what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in terms of that's different and how are you viewing it differently?
The health or the wealth?
The health. We'll go health first and then we're going to go wealth.
Yeah, you know what? I had prior to what I'm doing now, I had it always was in the back burner. Like, man, and I'll tell you, like, since I was a kid, Ben, I wanted to be wealthy. Like never wanted to be famous, but I always wanted to be wealthy. And I'm talking generational wealth. Like
Yes.
how much I love my kids, I already know that I'm in love with my grandkids.
Oh, that's
I
beautiful.
already know this. And so I want to create generational wealth that they can go ahead and take chances and build something and knowing that, man, everything's going to be okay. Like my kids and my kids, I want to know that they're going to be able to go to college if that's what you want to do, that you can build that business, that it was grandpa that helped be able to do that. And I want my kids to do the same thing. Like that's important to me, man. That is, if you wanted to know why I work so hard, I really want to build that. I have no bucket list. Everything that I have in my life, I'm blessed as far as the things in my life. There's not one thing that I'm like, man, if I could only have this, I don't have that. That is one of my biggest things that drive me. So because it's driven me so much, there was so many things that was number one.
Yes.
So my health, are you kidding me? Got to take this meeting. I was not, I was not working out. I was not eating right. So I made it last. And then what I'll tell you this is that, in the Bible, it says, seek him first, right? Seek first the kingdom of God. I didn't realize that I was seeking him last. He was involved, but I wasn't seeking him first. I gave him the glory, but I hit a level of success, not to the level that I would have hit if I had him first. And so I would say that has been a change. So that's what I used to do. What I decided is that, man, I really want to be my best self. I really want to have the energy. And I give it up to my guy, Chad Willerson. He turned me on to this company called Superhuman. That is the strategic coach of fitness. And what I realized, even though I was a college athlete and the whole nine, there's different ways as a business person to be able to have success. So I made it a lifestyle. And so it's very clear just how you do analytics with your business. I'm 600 calories a day. I'm 12,000 steps. 150 grams of protein, and I'm making sure that I take, making sure that I drink my water. That's it. So I'm doing that and getting two or three workouts in every single day, and I've made it systematic where I stack it in the morning to where I'm doing that, man. And the weight is falling off, and I feel amazing, man. I feel absolutely amazing.
That's incredible. How's that? How's that like impacted, Shauna, your kids? I mean, obviously they've seen you do amazing and great and wonderful things in the world of like building wealth. And, obviously they've heard about you, like when you go, when I used to be able to dunk, right? Maybe you can dunk now, right? When you're saying like those things, but like, how's that impacted them?
You know what? I'll tell you, it's for my wife. I think this goes more about just who she is. Dude, she just loves me. She could care less. Like she like every time I'm like saying how much weight I lost, she's like, she can care less. Like, I loved you. You were attractive and amazing to me then. You're the same now. Like, she's truly like that. Um, one of the benefactors I get though is that, because she's preparing my meals, they're tracking the calories. She's always been pretty good shape, but she has really kicked it in. So I get the benefit of like seeing my wife, and getting fitter. As far as my kids, they hug me and say my arms can go around you, like, ooh, my skinny daddy, and I was like, wait, you don't want a sausage sandwich, daddy? No, I don't want the sandwich. So they tease them so my girls are like, they like my health and fitness. But I'll say for me, man, it's been a real benefit of seeing me win something that has been there for so long that I haven't conquered. I'm the lightest that I have been in a decade.
Wow.
And I'm 8 pounds away from being the lightest I have been in 20 years.
Wow.
And so I think that has a transfer in some of the other things that I do as far as that discipline of being able to do that. So I think I didn't expect that to happen, but I see that it's starting to happen mentally in other areas of my life.
It's by saying yes to this, it's like you've opened up like a field of dreams. Like if you build it, they will come. It's interesting you said, I didn't, seek God first. But here you are in terms of you're doing the thing in terms of, they talk about in Genesis, be like, he made man and then he rested, right? It's like, boom, right? He talked about creating the body. And it's interesting to me as I'm listening to you and knowing the success that you are having and continuing to have. And it's because you're honoring that which he gave you first.
Absolutely.
I think that's absolutely beautiful. Um,
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit about wealth. I mean, it's clear from the standpoint you know how to build wealth. Like you've been doing it through companies. Um, I'm curious though, at what point did you realize that there's wealth to be built outside of you putting in time, having to come up with the idea? Like, what was the first investment you had that you went, oh, okay, I can see this game.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like and I'll tell you what I've led to now. There was a point where I invested in real estate and I had three single family homes, and um I didn't like it at all.
Mm,
Um and then, I didn't like, I tried a property manager, they weren't doing that great, and then Sean and I were property managed, and then I had a really good tenant, and then she left, moved to a different state, um and I just went to go check on the house, and there was a whole brand new family that had squatted and moved in. And I'm like, what on? And I sold them all, man. I'm like, I'm out of real estate. I don't want to do that. And then, as far as we've, invested, in stocks. There was a time where, I had a very successful guy that, I gave money to go ahead and trade, and I lost my shirt in that.
We've all been there.
Right. So, Ben, you know what I settled on is that an investment that has not let me down is an investment in me.
Come on. Say more about that.
An investment in me, man. You know, me with me investing in like organizations like Strategic Coach, EO, Harvard Business School, OPM, uh, YPO. Um, these are very expensive investments in me as far as the learning that I get, the relationships, the friendships that I build that have really, really blessed me, like blessed me more than I could even imagine, exponential.
Yeah.
And so those investments have paid dividends, and not in just business, but in my life. Like they have blessed my life. They have made me happier. Like, so I would say that has been massive, and I have never lost. I have never lost on investing in myself. I have never lost in doing that. So I would say that's a big investment. The next investment is like what I realized, Ben. I really like investments that I can control, that I know. I
Yes.
know how to build businesses, man.
Yep.
So that's where I deploy my capital. I know how to build businesses. I know how to understand market fit. I'm gifted in sales because I'm a what I realize one of the gifts that I have in sales is I sell with a giving heart.
Yes.
So I'm immediately available to trust because I don't come with a taker heart. Like I really want that person on the other side to win and have
Well,
success.
well,
And
it's easy and it's really hard to sell what you're giving. You're literally giving it like you're giving it. It's a big
yes,
difference. I love that. Keep going.
percent. So I'm really good at building businesses with those type of aspects. So that's where I invest is in building businesses, and that's where I've built most of my wealth is in doing that. And so um, I think there will be a time, in this 9-figure exit that I'm building,
Yep.
that's where I'll start to diversify, and look at some of those, different investments. But right now I'm in a time where I'm building, right? I'm building these things to be able to make those big things happen. And that has worked for me in this period of my life.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I love that you bring this back to investing in yourself, which kind of brings to this a segment I want to talk a little bit about wisdom, right? I mean, you kind of talked about the difference between knowledge and wisdom before, and I'm distinctly aware that you and I mean, we're in the greatest country in the world that allows anyone and everyone the opportunity to you can go get a book for free at a library, right? You can hop on YouTube for free and you can learn how to code. You can AI agents down to in terms of what does it mean to run a business. When you look back over your life, what are the most consequential sort of knowledge that you alchemized into wisdom? Like who'd that come from? Where'd that come from?
Man, there's so many. Oh my gosh, there's oh my god, there's so many. I would say, um, like I want to give Dan Sullivan some credit, um, because he really, really blessed my life. Um, the first time I met Dan, he was able to read me within 60 seconds, and I didn't. I like it. I don't know what else he said that next hour of that session. I was still thinking about the 60 seconds of what and what he said to me, and it was true because I was building two businesses at one time. And he said that one of them feeds you and one of them eats you.
Ooh,
And that
ooh.
was just amazing wisdom for me that like I never, and it was so true. Like it was like, man, okay, I gotta change this. I gotta change this. And eventually I sold the one that was eating me. And in the way that was eating me was just constant my time and shipping containers from China and the dog and pony show with this retailer. And it was just, and it
Yes.
was so glamorous. Like I was on Shark Tank and people want pictures and the whole nine, but it was eating me alive. Back on the other side, my talent acquisition company was feeding me, getting thank you letters from clients that thank you for this candidate. Like this, I can grow my business. Thank you. Thank you letters from candidates that were saying, man, this is my dream job. And then I get paid to do that. Like that was feeding me. And so I would say that is one of the things that really blessed me. Um,
What about books? Like if someone said, Chris, I love where you're at, because obviously we're the accumulation of everything we've consumed.
yeah.
What are the 3 books that you go, hey, these are the ones that help shape my DNA?
Wow, man, you are asking some tough questions. You know, I'll go with a couple. I'll tell you when as a teenager, reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
Ooh, goody.
Okay, I hated to read, but that made me love to read because I got so much out of that. And so, like, that was an instrumental book for me of really understanding, okay, how to build wealth. And so I was encapsulated in that story of that. So I say that was a foundational book for me. Um, I gotta give a lot of love to this book right here, Who Not How.
Come on, man. That's
Okay,
that's a game changer.
it's a game changer, and I'm gonna tell you because uh it changed my whole frame of how to be successful. And I was the one that, and I had the nobility type of mental frame of how to build a business is that you are there first and you're the last one to leave. And
Yes.
you got to
Yes.
demonstrate the exact what you want your team to do.
Yes.
And if they're going to do it, they need to see it with me. And so I live by that.
Yes.
And what I realized is that I didn't have a leader filled organization. And so I didn't have the right who's to go ahead and do the how.
Yes.
And this book gave me permission to be able to empower people to be
Yes.
able to do the how, and that it is okay for me to, it gave me the essence of why I built the business in the first place, to be able to have more free time with my family, to be able to have the freedom of money and being able to do that. And so it gave me the permission. And I didn't get it all the way at the start. Like there was sometimes where, you know, it's it's 4 o'clock, on a Tuesday, and I'm done. I want to go home and be with my wife. And so I'll act like I'm on the phone as I'm leaving my own company. I'm not on the phone with anybody, but I still felt guilty that I'm going to go enjoy my time. And so
Yes.
I say that's instrumental because it gave me the freedom to go ahead and build the businesses and be unapologetic about empowering my team, enjoying the freedom of time. And so I would say those are some amazing books.
I love that. It's crazy, Chris, the more time I've spent around you and, again, not trying to be there, but being here as I've observed you being here. And as you're building towards that 9-figure like exit, one of the things I've been distinctly aware of is that I feel like only utilized 10% of your potential, your capability.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love if you would share when you think about what's this next 10x leap for you? Like who, like you, not just like your business, but like you, when you think moving forward here, what's that look like?
Man, it's such a great question. And I already know exactly what I want to do. You
Oh,
know, um I totally agree. I'm self-aware of knowing that I have confined who I am and what I do into just one company. And just as I'm talking on to you right now, like, um, I feel like I have a fiduciary duty to be a blessing with all the things that I know.
yes,
And I'm great that being on your platform and that this will reach people. But uh Ben, I want to do this on purpose
yes,
because it is my purpose. And so uh if I'm doing that, I'll never work a day in my life. And so, in the future, I want to be able to have my own coaching company where I'm helping people in different areas, giving breakthroughs. Um, and that's all I want to do. I want to serve. I want to unlock people. When you ask me to talk to the person that's in that, like, I love to do that. My heart is to do that. And, I feel like, I don't want to be like the story of the talent that God has given me all this talent and I buried
yes,
it in the earth. I don't want to be
yes,
that guy, man. I want to be the one that multiplied and shared that gift. And God's like, man, good and faithful servant. Like I served and I was a blessing to other people and brought them joy and closer to Him. So that's what I want to do, Ben. That is my 10x future. That's my greater future that I want to be able to do that.
man. Will the real Chris Johnson please stand up? Let's go, buddy. That is
Look,
awesome. I love that. I've loved this whole conversation, and you never know where these conversations going to go. But this one not only went to where I thought it was going to go, it exceeded what I thought this conversation would go and be. And you've blessed a lot of people. You've blessed my life today. I love listening to you. I love watching you pour out into life and getting returns on life that are asymmetric, right? I mean, and truly asymmetric, and allowing other people. Um, I've loved having you on, and I want to give you the final word. What's the thing that you want to leave people with?
you know what? I think the final word, man, that I will say is that, and I would say this for any person as far as anywhere they are in their journey, as far as in their life, is that you are fine. Like, you are good. This is where you're at right now. It's only temporary. This is not where you're going to stay. You're good. Like, and so stay encouraged. I'll tell you, if you read almost every single bio, every single person has been through adversity prior to being able to get to their major promised land. And so, have joy in the journey, take inventory of your blessings, and just to know you are fine. This is only a temporary space in your time, and greater is yet to come. So, that's what I would say as far as my final word is just being encouraging the people out there that might be going through something that you can't tell anybody else, but you already know this is what you're dealing with. And just want to tell you and encourage you like that. This is a blip in time, and there's going to be one day where you write the blessings of how this adversity that you're going through, how it blessed you, because
Yes.
all things work together for the good of those that love them. So it's working together for your good. You just don't know it yet. You get the test first and the lesson later.
Come on. Thanks for blessing us today, Chris. And it's been a joy to have you on the pod.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening. A big thanks to Elation Lab for the production and creative design. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Keep listening for more Max Life.